vehicle involved?
We believe we do have the vehicle recovered. There have been multiple pieces of evidence, I won't get into every single one, recovered thus far in this investigation. Much of that evidence is still being processed. We have already executed search warrants and anticipate executing additional search warrants as this investigation moves forward.
Was Cali targeted?
That's part of the investigation going forward. Certainly, as I said a couple days ago at the initial press conference, we are well aware of Mr. Cali's past. That will be a part of this investigation as we determine what was the motive for the incident on Wednesday evening. There are multiple angles that we are still exploring.
What was the relationship?
I'm sorry?
The relationship.
That's part of the investigation that's being explored.
Can you comment on the fingerprint found on the victim's car?
So what I will say is on the victim's car that was present at the murder scene that night, we believe we have fingerprints recovered from that vehicle as well as other places. That's processing will be part of the investigation moving forward if and when, certainly now with the arrest, that we will compare directly to those fingerprints. And this is part of what we do throughout these investigations.
How did you track this gentleman down?
So again, Lieutenant Francis here with me, multiple units heading down here. We were just having a private conversation on just the collaboration within the department, too many to mention. Whether it's auto crime or patrol units, detectives assigned, multiple units working together, again, with our partners, both state and federal. It's a combination of interviews, it's a combination of canvases, intelligence that we had beforehand and continued to come in, tips, as well as electronic evidence that's been processed.
Chief, could you sort of clear up for us what it was involved in, if it wasn't, what were the circumstances surrounding this?
Yeah, I think that, again, not yet 3 days into this investigation, certainly the priority was getting the individual responsible for the murder off the street. That has been accomplished. That individual is in custody. As we move forward now, this, again, let me reiterate, this is far from over. We are at the beginning stages of this investigation. Was he acting alone? Was he acting for other people? Are there others involved? What is the motive? I simply, standing here, do not have all those answers for you, and that is what we will, as the days go forward, work to ensure. When you look at investigations, whether it's casework or in this case a murder investigation, they do not begin and end in 3 days. Some of these investigations go on for months, sometimes years. So these are all the questions that we will pursue to make sure, working with the prosecutors, that we have anyone responsible for this incident held to justice. Tom?
Did you feel, being that this was a possible fingerprint thing, do you have any record on this, Mr. Comello? Like, do you have anything about his criminal history or background?
So what I can say here today is Mr. Comello has crossed paths in some limited circumstances with the NYPD. I won't get into anything as far as whether he has a prior record or not, but certainly his truck, his driving record multiple times. In fact, the day of the incident, his truck received a parking summons in Staten Island, which is of note. Yes, ma'am.
Is he formally under arrest?
We have an arrest warrant in hand from the Richmond County DA's office, and as we work out the collaboration and the coordination with the Jersey prosecutors, that will take place. I don't anticipate that will be done today. That'll be done in the days to come, and then we'll work on extradition.
Where does he live?
He has residences in multiple places, including one in Staten Island. I will not go into specific addresses. Yes, sir.
Where was the truck recovered, and was the firearm used this week to kill Mr. Cali?
The firearm has not yet been recovered. As you know from the initial press conference, multiple shots fired with a 9mm handgun, multiple times struck the victim in that case, and the truck was recovered when we apprehended the individual today in New Jersey.
Have you been able to rule out whether this was solely a domestic incident, or are you looking at all possibilities?
Everything is on the table at this point. Again, less than 12 hours we have had him in our custody, The investigation continues, and these are the answers that we will seek to find the answers to, questions we will find the answers to.
Have
Yes,
the
sir.
suspects at all been involved in previous organized crime investigations?
So in terms of what we know now, certainly the victim has been reputed to come up in those investigations. As we move forward through this investigation, certainly. You just asked about a domestic case. That will be another angle that will be explored. We do not have all those answers as of yet, but certainly the prevention of any future violence is at utmost on our minds.
What's the relation to the victim's family, if there is any, in this case?
Yeah, Miles, that's also part of what we're looking at going forward and trying to explore. I will tell you that in the short time that he has been in our custody, we have had multiple discussions initially with the individual, and that coupled with the information that we already had, tips that we are getting, this is what we are trying to sort through. Oftentimes, the first story is not the final story.
Was it print on that car, on the victim's vehicle?
Give me that again.
Was the suspect's print on the victim's vehicle?
Was the suspect's prints on the victim's vehicle. There are prints recovered on the victim's vehicle, part of the investigation now that we have the individual. Once he's fingerprinted, etc., certainly that will be compared to match those prints and to see if that's accurate.
What's he do for work, if he worked?
That I do not have. Yeah, I do not know what he does for employment.
Does Mr. Comello have ties to organized crime?
I think that's what the question was asked earlier, and I do not have any information to substantiate that as I stand here today.
Can you just clear up whether the suspect and the victim have had any sort of encounter before, whether they did know each other?
That's also part of the investigation. What I will say is we have, as I said earlier that day, we have extensive video recovered from the house where it occurred. We have the individual come up. There is an altercation with the vehicle in front. We still do not know definitively whether that was a ploy, whether that was an accident. We are still in the process of processing evidence, including for forensically digital evidence. So we hope to get some of these answers as this comes forward. And in terms of phone records, things of that nature, 3 days into the investigation, so we'll need a little more time.
If you have the arrest warrant and you have all this information, why wait so long to make the arrest?
I'm sorry?
Why wait so long to make the arrest? And do you have any idea when it might happen?
He is in custody. He is not going anywhere. We have the arrest warrant in hand, but the process entails the Staten Island DA's office working in conjunction now with the New Jersey prosecutors, and that's what will take some days.
What was the location of where you took him into custody and what time?
I just want to remind everyone here purposefully, I will not be giving out specific addresses or towns. We have multiple families. Until we have a firmer picture of what is transpiring here, utmost in our mind is safety of all involved, including family members, friends, etc.
Chief,
Yes.
you said there may be the possibility of other suspects coming into the picture here. Obviously, this happened in a quiet section of Staten Island. What could you say to anyone who may be worried of future violence as a result of this?
Yeah, well, let me just rephrase that and step back from that a second. I would say that about any incident that we investigate. That is not unique or particular based on any factual information for this incident. But any investigation, I think Lieutenant Francis would tell you the same. It works in stages, and we work with what we know at the time. But certainly any investigation where we have somebody that's responsible, part of the investigation then flows forward from that. Was the person paid to do it? Were they others conspiring to do this crime? So that is something that we constantly look at. I would tell the public that you have the best, bar none, detectives in the world that work right here in New York City. And that goes for the patrol officers, too. So safety of the public is paramount in our mind, and we'll do everything to protect them.
Is he cooperating? Is he cooperating with the investigators?
At this time, he is an attorney has been retained for him, so no questioning from this point forward will be going on.
But he was questioned prior to questioning the attorney?
We spoke to him initially today.
What are the charges against him if they've been filed?
We expect him to be charged with the murder of Francesco Cali.
How is the victim's family and I'm assuming
I mean, anytime you have an incident, the individual, Francesco, was shot 10 times. So, with any murder victim or any victim of a crime, it's a traumatic experience. So we will work with the victim's family to make sure that they are, get the justice they deserved.
Can you spell the suspect's name for us?
I'm sorry?
Spell his name.
I certainly can. Anthony, common spelling, Anthony, and Comello, C as in Charlie, Omello.
Okay, two more, we'll wrap it up, folks.
24, almost 25 years of age.
You have to get an arrest, a search warrant to search the victim's home. Have you, and I sort of pulled from that the family wasn't cooperating. Have they been cooperating?
The victim's home?
Yeah, from the victim's home. Have you been able to speak with the victim's family? Are they engaging with
Yeah, the victim's family, that was initially, I mean, certainly, Miles, certainly a traumatic evening that nobody would want to go through what they went through this past Wednesday evening. What I can say, there are ongoing discussions between our detectives, the Staten Island DA's office, and the family. They have been apprised that the suspect in this case has been placed into custody, and they were very thankful for that.
I know you can give us much about the suspect's place of employment, but can you tell us anything about his personal life, if he has a family, what his family is saying about him, are they cooperating with you?
What I'll say is we are in contact with the family. We have been in contact with the family. They are cooperating with us. The safety of the family is paramount. I think I'd just like to finish up with what the earlier question was, what you'd like to tell the people. We do not believe this was a random act. When you look at the incident that took place between Mr. Comello and Mr. Cali, certainly we'd be irresponsible if we weren't looking to keep the families involved in this protected, safe. We intend to do that, but beyond that, we don't see any additional random acts occurring in Staten Island.
Just to follow up on that, in this world, there's always threat of retaliation when something of this magnitude happens. Is there that concern in your mind?
Yeah, and I'll finish with this one. I think we look at that with any act of violence, whether we're talking gang violence on the streets or, in this case, a circumstance such as this. So it's our job to look where can we, where probable, anticipate acts and do everything that we can to prevent them. Thank you very much, and as forward, we'll have more information that becomes available.